So today I am going to visually demonstrate the downfall of video games. And before we begin, just as a reference point for the visual demonstration, this is how it used to be back in the day. Back when we had analog, back before they made everything touchscreen and designing the things we consume to have a higher failure rate, making us more likely to pay for expensive replacement parts or costly maintenance. So that tiny little circle right there represents how times used to be. And that circle continues to get smaller as you go back in time. The golden age of video games. Arcade cabinets, you had physical sticks for you to yank about, sturdy buttons for you to mash. So it is no coincidence that the golden age happened during the days of analog. So just bear that in mind. Smaller symbolizes better. Fast forward about 20 years. This is what gaming looked like. No longer a circle, but a line. Dead Rising, Gears of War, Saints Row, Company of Heroes, Halo, Deus Ex, Bioshock, Hitman, SSX, Half-Life, The Sims, and the list goes on and on and on. Too many to name. What a time to be alive. What a time for video games. What a time for innovation. Some people believe that the early 2000s is considered the golden age of video games. You fast forward another 10-12 years, and as you can see, that line has become much longer, and now it's got some heft to it. That's a pretty chunky line, if I may say so myself. Not as much innovating in terms of our video games. Sure, you still had Mass Effect 3, Far Cry 3, quite frankly, a lot of 3s. Original IPs, far and few between. It seemed they stopped innovating with game design, and they started focusing their innovation somewhere else. And because of that, you start to see a lower concentration of memorable games. So where was the innovation being directed instead? That's right, monetization. From online passes, thanks to Electronic Arts and their Project $10 initiative, which meant if you bought a game used, you wouldn't be able to play the multiplayer side of things unless you actually paid an additional $10. Disgraceful. Thankfully, it was short-lived because we actually fought back in those days. Long story short, these greedy companies started to usher in a wide variety of greedy monetization schemes. This microtransaction juggernaut that you see today wasn't built in one day. It took time. They waited for relics and dinosaurs like myself to fade off into oblivion. And once we did, as you can see in Exhibit X, the line has gotten longer and much thicker. Fast forward another 15, 20 years. We're now entering the remake era. These developers aren't even bothering milking their franchises to death by making a 6th and 7th and 8th game. They'll just keep selling you the old ones. And now the monetization has grown into this all-consuming monster that has found a way to get its claws into every single thing. There was a short period of time where you could find some salvation, some respite in the indie space, far away from the clutches of greedy monetization. But it was just a matter of time. And now you see a lot of these indie developers deploying tactics that will rival any Electronic Arts or Activision game. And let's not forget Ubisoft, who's done the most damage to this industry in the past 10 years as far as I'm concerned. The AAA industry has now replaced traditional progression systems with things like battle passes, cosmetics. They have predisposed a lot of children to their first taste of gambling with things like loot boxes. And here is that line, growing even longer, even fatter, starting to look a little sickly, a little pale. Fast forward to today. These companies have figured out that it's easier and cheaper to just hire armies of shills made up of our favorite influencers than to actually make good video games. Many of them don't aspire to be a shill, but get compromised pretty easily and will sell you out with a quickness when there's dollar signs involved. The damage control for when they release poorly optimized, janky, bug-riddled games is much easier to manage when they have these huge armies of shills. Pretty genius, actually. A shame nobody ever saw this coming. And now it seems like it's the exception to the rule. Anytime a AAA game comes out, and it doesn't require at least a half dozen patches in order to get it respectable. So please draw your attention to Exhibit C. This is the current state of video games. And as you may have noticed, you can no longer see where the line starts and where it ends. It's just as wide as it is long, and it's starting to grow limbs. So what happened? How did this happen? Well, what happened was, you're what happened, and the countless other retards just like you. Anytime these companies pull some shady shit, here you are, trotting out to defend them, doing a wide variety of mental gymnastics in order to do so. Why would they ever release a finished game? Why would they stop using free-to-play business models in AAA games? Why on earth would they stop selling us video games on an installment plan if people like you continue to defend each and every shitty tactic that they use? You enable their shitty behavior. And now we're at the point of no return.